DMRs in Battlebit Remastered recently got a rework in which they got their recoil reduced, their damage buffed, and their starting mag size reduced. And in this update, the M110 is clearly my favorite DMR, and in this video I'm going to tell you why that's the case. Prior to this update, the M110 was a very solid marksman. It was probably the second best or the best marksman, and this update still solidifies it as the best marksman in my opinion. Before we get into the rest of the video where I'm going to discuss my opinion on the changes, how I would use this weapon, how I would build this weapon currently, I'm going to go over the M110's patch notes real quick. I'm not going to go over all the DMRs because I already have a video on that, but for the M110, they increased the damage from 49 to 51. The vertical recoil was reduced from 3 to 1.5. The horizontal recoil was increased from 1 to 2.5. Velocity was increased by 200. The fire was reduced. The control was reduced. I don't know what control means, so let me know in the comment section if you know what that stat means. The reload speed was reduced greatly from 3.33 to almost 4 seconds, and the starting mag size was reduced from 3 to 1. I'm going to discuss these changes in a second here, and I'm going to tell you how I build this thing and how you should use this thing. One of the perks of the M110 before this update was that with the long barrel on it, you could 2-tap any target in the game to the limbs. In other words, an exo armor target, if you hit them in the arms or the legs, you could 2-tap them. Now, in this update, they buffed the damage of the M110, so you don't need the long barrel to do that anymore. You can 2-tap any target without the long barrel to the limbs. If you don't hit the limbs, you're still going to need 4 shots to kill exo, 3 shots to kill heavy, 3 shots for normal, 3 shots for light, and now only 2 shots for no armored targets. And if you put the long barrel on this thing, you will 1-tap people to the head all the time. So building this thing out, I basically use the long barrel still for the max bullet velocity, the added damage. I use the vertical grip still, but you can really use any grip that you want. It just depends on if you find the vertical recoil is bugging you more or the horizontal recoil. But I use the vertical grip on this thing. And then I use the 4x ACOG scope. Now, you can use the one-time optic on this thing, and it will basically give it no recoil. So if you want to try aggressive style DMR gameplay, throw a red dot on it. Otherwise, don't use a long range optic because they'll give off sniper glint, so just stick to the 4x like medium range optics otherwise. One of the reasons this gun is so effective now is that the vertical recoil was cut in half, and I noticed instead of like firing at a very slow fire rate, like boom, 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 you can now go boom, 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 and fire at a faster fire rate, which means you can kill exo, heavy, and normal armor targets faster. Now, one thing you will notice with DMRs in this update is that they're still not going to compete against snipers at like 400 meters plus. You're going to get domed by L96s, by M200s. It's just going to happen. You got to accept that as your fate. This thing's niche is like 100 to 300 meters is where marksmen excel in Battlebit right now, and it's where the M110 excels. And if you put the long barrel on this thing to up that bullet velocity by 100 more, you're actually going to notice that range increases a little bit more than that. And it's basically hit scan up to those ranges. And if you aim for the head, you're going to 1 or 2 tap most targets in the game. DMRs are still very much a pick your poison kind of weapon. You can't really be super aggressive with them, like pushing into close quarters buildings. Although the hipfire accuracy is surprisingly pretty good on these, you got to like be sitting in a building, be sitting behind a barricade, be sitting in cover, lean out, pop, lean out, pop, lean out, pop. I'm not saying you can't like kill targets from like 100 meters in. You can do that fine, but you have to be doing it from cover, from a position of strength. It's not like a Chris Vector. It's not like an AR where you could just push in head first and just out aim your target. Like, you're going to have to use your precision aim with positioning to defeat other weapons in the game. I'm not going to sugarcoat this and say, wow, DMRs are so good now. They're not. DMRs are still probably the least viable class of weapons in the game. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. That being said, if you're someone who absolutely loves to use DMRs, if you're someone who DMRs just fit your style of play, the M110 is for you. Or the MK14 EBR, but that's a separate video. The M110 is the one for you if you like high damage, good fire rate. If you're an accurate player, this thing is for you. I just think the problem with DMRs still is the fact that the bullet velocity is higher, but it's still not as good as snipers, which it shouldn't be. So it can't compete against snipers at long range. And it's not like high enough damage to make you have a faster TTK than an AR or an SMG from closer ranges. So it's just left in that like abyss range of 1 to 300 meters, in which most people don't take engagements anyways. Most people aren't taking engagements from beyond 100 meters in this game unless they're using a sniper rifle. So it's kind of like DMRs just don't really fit Battlebit Remastered as a whole, so it's just very difficult for me to find a niche in the game for DMRs. I personally think with the Marksman class that they would be better off ditching the semi-automatic DMRs and going more the route of the Kar 98s, the MK2s, the MK11s of the world, and ditching like the semi-auto DMRs, because you're either gonna make them super OP and broken and ruin the game, or they're just not gonna be viable. There's not really an in-between with DMRs, so I think they'd be better off going the Kar 98, like actual marksman rifle route. Now, if you want a DMR that you can spam more, then the MK14 EBR is probably for you. I'm going to probably do another video on that, but the EBR just doesn't have as much range as the M110. It doesn't do as much damage, but it has more mobility, higher fire rate. It's automatic, so you can get kills close range with it. But again, for the usability case, if you're going to get aggressive with a DMR in BattleBit and get in buildings and hip fire it and auto it, blah, 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 just use an FAL. Just use an AK-15 if you want something that's a jack of all trades. The FAL can kill fast close range, especially if the long barrel. It can kill fast long range, especially if you have the long barrel. It can destroy targets. AK-15 is versatile. It can get medium to long range kills. I mean, hell, you could use an MP7, you can use an MP5, you can use a P90, get close to medium range kills. So if you want a DMR that you can play aggressive with, just use a different class weapon at that point. The DMR in this game is really locked to one specific playstyle. Let me know your thoughts on this update in the comment section. Let me know what you think of the M110. This update just doesn't seem like enough for me to want to use DMRs. It doesn't seem like enough to make the DMRs a viable class over snipers, over ARs, over SMGs, or to even make it compete with those classes. So I'm not quite sure how much I'm going to use the DMRs. That being said, if you are a DMR user, if you like the M110, let me know what you think of these changes. Let me know in the comment section below what build you're using for the weapon. I'd be more than happy to hear that. And also, thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you subscribe. It'd be greatly appreciated. It helps the content grow and reach more people. And I do stream every day on kick.com/cgem at about 5:30, 6 o'clock EST. So check me out over there. Thank you so much.